What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal SpazPhoenix, the YWC reality check, and before I get into anything, I want to say to all of you, I just ticked over to 230 subscribers. Immensely awesome. You guys are great. Make me feel good about life. Make me feel good about, what we're doing on here, etc., etc., etc. So, to each and every last one of you, from my very first subscriber to my very last 230th subscriber, thanks. You guys are all awesome. Cheers. Now on to Raw, the June 26th Raw Super Show review. Trend seems to be that as my friends and the people I talk to here in the YWC get less and less endeared to the WWE, I am loving it more and more and more. Basically, it's because the good stuff is so good that it's helping me ignore the bad. And it's to the point now where I come off a show feeling good about myself, feeling good about wrestling, feeling good about the WWE, etc. So it must have been a good show. Makes me think very, very positively as we head towards the big changeover to the 3-hour layout. Now, I have my qualms going into Money in the Bank, and we'll get to that when we get to that. But we open the show with a segment in the back with AJ addressing all three of the guys in the little love square they got going on. Daniel, I used to love you, but we need to move on as adults, as people, da-da-da-da-da. Kane, you know you drive me wild, but you know what you are, you're a monster, da-da-da-da-da. Punk, you and I think are soulmates, but I don't think you think I think you think I think what I think you think, or something along those lines. Basically, being very crazy and very AJ, and even more so when you pan around and realize she's talking to nobody. Oh yes. Hashtag I dig crazy chicks. Moving on, the show starts with two major announcements. We're going to get Brodus Clay versus The Big Show tonight. Woo! And Cena is going to make history, as he announced on Twitter. Woo! For the record, I didn't know this, because the last fucking person that you couldn't pay me to follow on Twitter would be John Cena. Oh, yes. Vicky Guerrero comes out, says I'm running Raw and SmackDown, and I'm willing to bet that I'm going to take over permanently when they announce the new Raw and SmackDown general manager at the 1000th episode of Raw, whatever. I'm going to start this off with a 3-way elimination match tonight, which ends up being Daniel Bryan versus Kane versus Punk, again in a triple threat elimination style match. And I was like, okay, same triple threat match, elimination style changes the dynamic of the match. Could be good. Kane versus the World to start. Bryan and Punk, for a long and prolonged period of time, were working as a team. And they were working so much as a team that the color schemes of their ring gear actually matched. Which I had to point out because it just made everything even more fun. But it basically, psychology-wise, they took down, the taller Kane. Each one of them took a leg. You break down the legs, you got a taller opponent. He's not a taller opponent anymore if it's on his back. Eventually he gets knocked out of the ring. Punk versus Bryan faces off for a little while in the match that we all love to see over and over and over again. Kane comes back strong. Kane misses a doomsday device, which leads to a roll-up and a near fall by Bryan. A failed yes lock leads to a near fall for Punk on Bryan. Then we hear AJ's music. AJ distracts Kane long enough for Punk to get a GTS on Kane. While Punk is getting his breath, Bryan comes with a kick to the back of the head. Kind of cheap shot style, but whatever. Bryan is your winner of the opening contest. Not a bad contest. Got a great amount of time, as you would expect it would, and a great way to kick off the show. Thank you for that, Miss Guerrero. Moving on. We go to the back, we see Vicky and Alberto Del Rio in the back. Ricardo Rodriguez brings her flowers. He's trying to sell himself as the #1 contender to the World Heavyweight Championship, which I think is funny because that's supposed to be on SmackDown, but whatever. Ziggler comes in and says, no, it should be me, da-da-da-da-da. Basically, Vicky sets up a #1 contenders match for them later tonight, and it's going to be a #1 contender contract on a pole match. Interesting note, right? And Ziggler takes the vase with the flowers that Alberto Del Rio and Ricardo Rodriguez brought and breaks it against the wall. So, a little bit of aggression from Mr. Ziggles. Never hurt anybody. Moving on. Oh, I'm so glad this wasn't one of the main events. Big Show versus Brodus Clay. Basically, Show destroys Brodus Clay's leg for about 5 minutes. I yawn a lot. convincingly and consider switching over to something else for 10 minutes. Clay tries to body slam the Big Show, obviously fails with the bum knee, and Show gets the win, and I proceed to yawn some more. We recap the challenge between Triple H and Brock Lesnar and the response that we got from Heyman last week, which was a great promo. I do have to drive that home once again. Great promo between Triple H and Paul Heyman last week, and all that for the announcement that Lesnar is going to give his answer next week. So nothing happened this week, and they brought it up to point out that nothing was happening this week, so great and wonderful. AJ and Kane in the back, and this is the most bizarre thing I've seen in a while. AJ and Kane having a heart-to-heart. Kane basically saying, look, I'm not exactly boyfriend material. I'm a monster and I wear a mask, and even I think you're unstable. And he walks away, which I thought was beautiful. And then you look at AJ. AJ has a little breakdown in the corner once Kane walks away. It's sort of that happy medium between happing and laughing, I can speak, I swear, and crying and having sort of a psychological breakdown as if she hasn't already. Moving on, we have Swagger versus Santino Marella in a U.S. Championship title match. And you know Santino sucks when I'm cheering for Swagger. Oh, yes. Basically, Santino's a goofball. Swagger owns him, working on the back. Santino basically pulls a Cena. Superman's at the end. Bullshit. Cobra. Santino keeps the belt. Moving on. Cena comes out, talks about how the WWE's been turned upside down by the firing of John Laurinaitis. Goes into a 10-minute monotonous, torturous Star Wars metaphor that fails from the get-go. And it just drags, and it drags, and it drags, and I'm sitting here at my television begging somebody to cut his mic, but we get the next best thing, we get the lights out. And yes, we have the returning Chris Jericho. Kara, if you're watching this, here's your 5 seconds to mark out, and go. Okay, you're done. Alright. As he's coming to the ring, they show shots of the Fozzy European tour, and we have loud, loud, loud Chris Jericho chants. Now, that's partially because Chris Jericho is awesome, and because he's the one that interrupted Cena, pretty sure. What the hell? Shut the hell up and get out of my ring. Cena keeps blabbing, talks about Money in the Bank, and his big announcement is that he'll be in Money in the Bank. Basically. Because everybody else being in Money in the Bank would just, you know, be announced and move on, but if Cena's in Money in the Bank, oh yeah, it's a big deal. John Cena, who fucking fails hard in any ladder match situation ever, is going to be in Money in the Bank. Gee, I wonder who's going to win. Fuck my life. Jericho goes on and basically speaks for all of us. You think you're going to win just because you're John Cena. I invented it, I've lived it, talks about what Money in the Bank is, and says I'm in as well. Vicky comes out, announces that there will be 2 Money in the Bank matches at Money in the Bank, one for the WWE title, one for the World Heavyweight title, instead of a Raw match and a SmackDown match, whatever. You can't just place yourself, da-da-da-da-da. And Jericho cuts her off and says, yeah, what are you going to do, suspend me? Liked that a lot. Liked that a lot. Fuck you, Brazilian government. Moving on. Vicky announces, and I don't know, because she wasn't clear about this. I don't know if this is all the participants, but if it is, this is really sad. The WWE Championship Money in the Bank ladder match is Cena, Kane, Big Show, and Jericho. And if that's it, sad face. Moving on. Next, Vicky makes a match Cena versus Chris Jericho later tonight. Heath Slater comes out, talks a bunch of shit about Wendy Richter and everybody else that was involved in all the crap in the past couple of weeks. Piper and Vader and all that sort of thing. And it says, I'm the ruler of the world. So anybody that knows your wrestling history knows that there's only one true ruler of the world. So yes, we do in fact have Heath Slater versus Psycho fucking Sid. Oh yes, and Slater indeed gets owned because it's all he's good for. Ziggler versus Alberto Del Rio in a #1 contendership contract on a pole match. It's basically a good, solid match for the most part, and I didn't write a lot down because it is just what you would expect from Del Rio and Ziggler. It was a great back and forth match. But towards the end, we have Alberto Del Rio hitting a second rope, a Samoan drop from the second rope on Ziggler. Ziggler tries to climb up Alberto Del Rio's back, to get the contract. The clipboard actually drops, which I thought at first was a botch, and if that was a botch, I would have laughed hard. But there was a lot of tug-of-war, and there was a lot of kicking the clipboard back and forth, which made both of these guys look really clumsy, which I wasn't exactly a fan of, but it was good for a chuckle. They kick it out of the ring on the side where the announce tables are. They keep fighting. They end up falling out on the opposite side of the ring, and it's like, yeah, this is... Yeah, wrestling is choreographed and it's scripted and whatever, but there's no sense to the end of this match. The match itself, before they... I'll say it like this, guys. I'm a fan of both of these guys, and the match itself, before they actually went for the prize on the pole, was a great match. Them having to deal with the overbooking of the end, you could see them struggling with that overbooking. And that's... You can't really blame them, because it was kind of all over the place. But the clipboard gets kicked out in front of the announce booth. They fall out on the ramp side of the ring for Sheamus to come out and basically say that they can stop fighting. He's already talked to Vicky. He's already decided that he's going to take on both of them in a triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship on SmackDown. Everybody wins. We see Punk and Brian, or sorry, we have the announcement, that Punk and Brian are going to have a one-on-one WWE Championship match at Money in the Bank. Not only does this make me an extremely fucking happy kid, but go back a year, you got Punk winning the WWE title and Brian winning Money in the Bank. So it's appropriate and almost perfect that they would come back together one-on-one at Money in the Bank this year. I like that a lot. Punk and AJ in the back, basically, AJ saying that she thinks Punk's great and she's going to dedicate her efforts in the Diva Battle Royal that's going to come up later in the night to CM Punk, and CM Punk says, yeah, well, after you've had that match, we really need to talk about what the hell this is between us. And she says, you want to go to the next level? Totally, I'm cool with that. And it's like, yeah, CM Punk just blathered his way into a psychotic girlfriend, I think, and yeah, that's fine. But you know what? AJ Lee is fucking nutty as a fruitcake, but I wouldn't kick her out of bed for eating crackers, so moving on. Diva Battle Royal. There's 9 divas in the ring. I couldn't name off all of them to save my life. I know the Divas of Doom were in there, and I know Layla the Champion was in there, I know AJ was in there, I know some of the ladies from NXT were in there, and the last entrant was, in fact, Vicky Guerrero. So all the other divas go beat her down, but somehow the last 3 people in the ring are Vicky, Layla, our Divas Champion, and AJ. Now, to note, before AJ disposed of Vicky, she disposed of our Divas Champion, and that makes me a happy kid. That gives me vision to the future that is very, very awesome. AJ wins the Battle Royal. That's about the end of that. Jericho versus Cena is as good as you thought it would be. Jericho owns Cena, basically screaming, I'm back, into the crowd as he's owning Cena. Working on Cena's neck, working on his back, working on his shoulder. But of course Cena Superman's back and doesn't sell a goddamn thing. Superman's back, 5 moves of doom, 2 times attempts the attitude adjustment, and I say attempts because he was interrupted by the Big Show, not because he, you know, sold the back at all, because of course, if you've had your shoulder, neck, and back worked on the whole match, of course you can still pop up like you just got to the ring and pop off an AA, no problem. That's some good fucking Cena logic there, brother. Moving on. Show comes in with the distraction. Jericho manages to lock in the walls of Jericho, and as the walls of Jericho are locked in, we get a Show giant leg drop on the back of Cena's skull. Makes me a happy boy. Basically, Show and Jericho have a little, you know, diatribe between the two of them. Hey, you want to take a shot? Hey, you want to take a shot? No, you take a shot. No, you take a shot. Eventually, Jericho leaves and leaves Cena in a heap for the Big Show. Show chokeslams Cena, and the show closes with Cena locked in the colossal clutch, trying to, you know, sell that you know, Superman in all of his armor is actually in pain and failing horribly. Moving on. Score, fail, and MVP. My God, this is a big list. Score number 1 is AJ, just as a whole. Her part in the story, the mind game she's playing with everybody, the way she plays off the psychotic chick, so great. Then the fact that I dig crazy chicks should be trending every day, all the time. the Punk Brian Kane story in general is awesome. You get these three guys in the ring. As I've said before, I was iffy about Kane being thrown into the mix, but it definitely works. If for no other reason than to sell AJ's psychoticness, which is the next thing on my score list, the AJ Kane segment. If nothing else, it made Kane look like a bit of a wiener, but it put AJ over as a legit psycho. Jericho coming in and shutting up Cena, combined with him yelling at Vicky, "What are you gonna do, suspend me?" popped me huge. Like, there's no way. Like, the amount of bullshit that went into the Brazilian government suspension crap, they had to get something out there about it, and I'm glad they did. Psycho Sid came back, and I marked. End of story. Alberto Del Rio versus Sheamus versus Ziggler, I'm looking very forward to on Friday. What I'm even more impressed with is the amount of face time that Alberto Del Rio is getting. In the past couple of weeks, we've seen him against the US champion, against the Intercontinental champion, in a number one contenders match tonight. We know that he only lost his number one contendership previously because of an injury. And he's got a shot on SmackDown, so they're keeping Alberto Del Rio very relevant, which they should have done a long time ago. But whatever. So he's getting a lot of face time and he's absorbing credibility from his surroundings, and I like that a lot. Simple thing, we haven't had a fill-in-the-blank on a pole match in a long time. It's a fun little match type to have, and like they said on commentary tonight, it's very close to what they'll be doing at Money in the Bank, that similar, you know, climb to glory kind of idea. So as a little precursor, I think it works quite well. AJ finally returned to in-ring competition this week in a Divas Battle Royal. Not only did she win, but she eliminated the Divas champion. Even if they don't go anywhere with that, that's instant credibility. And also, she eliminated the... Okay, Vicky Guerrero was only the general manager for one night, but she was the authority figure, so she eliminated the champion and her boss within about a span of 10 seconds or so. Punk and Bryan are going to go one-on-one at Money in the Bank. What else can I say? Fails. This is the only thing I'm going to say about the triple threat match that started off the show. I don't like that Punk, as awesome a champion as he is, and yes, Daniel Bryan did take a cheap shot. If he had taken a cheap shot and then locked in the LaBelle lock, or the yes lock, if he had taken a cheap shot and then gotten in some other finishing maneuver to finish him off, I don't like the fact that Punk was just taken out by a simple kick. Small thing, still a great match, little thing that bugs me. Show versus Clay, in general, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. My glass of give a shit is empty. My glass of pop is full. My glass of pop is full, but my glass of give a shit is empty. Moving on. And going on with the Show versus Clay theme, what looks more fake these days? You guys tell me. The Weapon of Mass Destruction punch that looks more horrible and more horrible and more horrible week by week, or Brodus Clay's ridiculous headbutt with his ridiculous fucking I'm a really fat version of the Miz mohawk thing that he's got going on there. Santino Marella is still bullshit, and I love the fact that they pointed out that he hasn't bothered to defend his U.S. Championship since April. Why hasn't he defended his U.S. Championship since April? Oh, because he's been too busy goofballing around and wrestling with an announcer. Do you wonder why I don't like him as champion? That's why I don't like him as champion. And because he sucks, and because he's the goofball equivalent of John Cena. Moving on. John Cena, period. Just... we're going to make a big announcement that's going to shake the wrestling world to its foundation, and it's going to make history. John Cena's in the Money in the Bank ladder match. We had the announcement that Big Show and Kane and Jericho are also in the Money in the Bank match. Jericho, who just came back, so we should be pushing to the moon, but no, the big announcement is that Cena is also going to be in the match, which means... predictably, that Cena's going to win the match. So they might as well have come out tonight on Raw and announced that at Money in the Bank, Cena's going to walk out with a briefcase. That's just it. Jericho invented Money in the Bank, first of all. So even if he wasn't good in the match, he would deserve to be in it. The fact that he is good also means he deserves to be in it. The other three participants that have been announced for this match, Cena, Kane, and the Big Show. Last time Big Show was in Money in the Bank, they had the goofball, stupid-looking, reinforced special ladder for him. And Kane not only sucks in a ladder match environment, but he's already gotten a Money in the Bank briefcase once. My hope is that Jericho wins this, and I know it's not going to happen, so yeah. I don't know what to say about that. Fave 5. How did the Fave 5 do tonight? Punk lost his match. It wasn't for the title. Thank God he's still the champion, but that just means he's going to lose it to Cena at some point, which is horrible. Ziggler basically fought to a draw against Alberto Del Rio, but nonetheless earned himself a title shot on Friday against Sheamus again. And I'm pretty sure they're going to make him job to Sheamus again, which is ridiculous. Miz is off being a Marine. Orton is still suspended. Rhodes hardly ever shows up on Raw, apparently. MVP of the night has got to be AJ. Not only is she in the headline story of the WWE, she's been solidified as more psychotic than Kane. She's involved in the WWE Championship title picture, and she returned to action tonight, and she eliminated her boss, and she eliminated the champion. You can't have a better night than that. I said it going into Raw tonight. AJ Lee is the most interesting character in the WWE right now. And that might be bad for a lot of other people that should be up in that spot, but for a diva, and the way the divas are usually treated in the WWE, that is fucking fantastic, and there's no way that AJ is going to hear this anyways, clearly, but even if she did, there's no way I could congratulate her enough for that. I think that is fucking fantastic. Guys, that's it for the review. I really don't know what else to say. Thank you very, very much for bringing my number up to 230. I think that is fantastic. We are almost at the end of the month, so beginning first week of July is when I'm going to be doing my July Q&A. Please go back a couple videos if you have questions for the Q&A. There's a video where I'm asking for questions for the Q&A. Please leave your questions in the comments of that video, or they will not get answered. That's as plain as I can be, and I want to get as many of you into this as possible. Other than that, I've been Spaz, your YWC reality check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep this conversation going. Please don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I'm tagging out. Bye, guys.